Hey guys, we're going to do a set review. This is for the latest Bookworms that came out last Wednesday. So I spent 2 hours, maybe a little over 2 hours last night going through all the cards out of one mega box. And by the way, I am missing one good one, but I'll tell you where it fits into the tiers. I already know where it fits in. I think I'm missing 5 different cards, but I'll tell you where they fit in, so don't worry. But yeah, so I love reviewing the art because I have 22 years of I taught visual art for 22 years, and I'm now retired disability. I am an artist myself. I'm a painter, printmaker, graphic designer, and my whole life has been about art, so I can certainly go through these with you. But anyway, I have 6 stacks here. I put them in 6 categories, starting from worst to best. And if you look at these stacks, look how the middle ones are so, tall, and the worst and the best are much smaller. There's like a bell curve to it. And so let's start by cleaning our palette. We're going to look very quickly at some John Pound originals. And let's remind ourselves what we are even talking about here when we're talking about Garbage Pail Kids art. Okay, so Garbage Pail Kids are a reference to Cabbage Patch Kids, so they should look like Cabbage Patch Kids. But in some fashion, they've been changed, right? They've been turned into maybe a different character. They're usually kind of negative, like there's something bad happening to them, and things of this nature. Another thing we need to look for is background details. Notice John Pound does not put much background details in his work. There's definitely some exceptions, but for the most part, it's supposed to be character-based, right? With very minimal information around that. All right, so maybe let's look at a few more. So are these going to compare to John Pound's masterpieces? Probably not. But I did find some that I think can, maybe, somewhat compare to them. All right, very good. And if we need to look at those later, we can. All right, we're going to start from worst and go all the way to the best. And one more thing before we get started, I did it by artists. So let's start with the worst ones. Actually, unfortunately, I have to set you down just a minute to spread these out. Okay. All right. I'm trying to hurry. Okay. So this is tier 6. So these are the worst ones to me, in my opinion, out of the set of Garbage Pail Kid Bookworms. Now this is a pretty nice design, but to me, I don't see a Cabbage Patch Kid. And I don't even see a Cabbage Patch dog. I see a different cartoon character. It's also kind of a rip-off of Frigid Bridget. This one we might have to come back to as maybe the worst of the set. It's another disaster. I don't see any Cabbage Patch Kid reference. And this one is super pretty rough. These are lacking in details, and there's ways they could have added to this to make it have more impact. These have almost no impact. And then lastly, we have these 2 by Simcoe where he's copying old characters. And I'll just tell you, seeing words printed, he did not do this by hand. I don't like to see that. I don't think that's why we do these. These should be hand painted. We should never see printed words on a Garbage Pail Kid, especially when, if I look 1 inch up, I see hand painted words. How does that make any fucking sense? And I don't think he elevated Zach Plaque. Or split kit. All right, so these are the worst. So I'm going to move these to the side, and we're going to come back because we're going to be naming the worst card of bookworms, and it's one of those. All right, so tier 5. Now, that's actually wrong. Hold on. Yeah, tier 5. Let me check one thing, guys. I actually had that. It's like in the wrong stack here. Yeah, that's tier 3. Sorry, give me 1 second. Here they are. Okay. I think. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. No, there's no way. Okay. So those are switched. Okay. All right. So this one's pretty big. So I will say, looking at old sets, it seems like this is one of the best sets we've had in a long time as far as consistency. I mean, you could even, it's kind of shocking that a few of those are so-called bad, or at least in my opinion. So let me lay out this pretty big stack here. And also, I have them by artists. And so we're going to be looking at these two different ways. We're going to be looking at them on a level of art, but also which artist had a good set and which didn't. Okay. All right, so these are all by Smokin' Joe. And I'm calling these pretty much, overall kind of his worst ones for different reasons. And boy, there's a lot of them. Now, I've been looking more closely at his work because he's becoming more prominent in our hobby, his art is at least. And what I'm noticing with him, he's using too much titanium white in his work. And look how his art is so washed out looking. And he also has some issues with shading, which is fine. The major issue is just how light these are coming out. And I'm also curious because I've seen his finals and I've seen them printed another place and they didn't look quite this bad. So I don't know if he's scanning them in some weird way. But imagine how much better these would look without so much white added to the paint. It's got almost a chalkiness to them. Another thing is Smokin' Joe has a terrible time with backgrounds. He's constantly picking the wrong colors to put behind his characters. Another way of saying this, had we given these characters to John Pound and we told him to spray paint the backgrounds, John Pound would have not chosen these colors for that character. He would have not chosen that green color for that character. So there's nothing wrong with, wanting to do your own thing, of course. He's an artist. Smokin' Joe is his own artist. But I'm seeing some pretty bad choices here. There's also a lot of style changes that's a little strange. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the characters themselves, almost as if two different artists are drawing Garbage Pail Kids. I think the worst example is actually the Pat Kid here. Just that purple background is so rough. On that one, it just almost ruins it. They even had to change it on the pack. It was so bad to blue. All right, so that's the worst. Basically the worst of Smokin' Joe. Not bad, eh? He did pretty good. So I'm calling this as, some of the worst of Joe Simcoe here. Okay, so. These all have issues. That's what I'm saying. In tier 5, these all have issues. They're not the super bad ones. We're moving up, but these all have some issue to them. These colors are all over the place, and they're just not really working. This one has super dorky proportions. Here we go again with him trying to copy John Pound and Tom Bunk. When you're doing that, you're exposing yourself here. I mean, it's pretty intimidating. I've actually painted my own GPK before. I know what's involved. And to take an old character and repaint it, I don't know why they keep doing this. I wish they'd just leave the old characters alone. We don't need new adaptions of those. This one's pretty rough. I hate how big his hand is. And the colors, I mean, do we have to use every rainbow color? This one, there's almost two different styles mashed up. And then, of course, way too much white. It's just, and just how the paper is being torn, like, was it wet? It doesn't make sense, the texture of the tear there. So, yeah, pretty small complaints, I guess, overall, but sometimes it's kind of those little small details that just aggravate me and kind of ruin a piece for me. So we're still in tier 5. We're still in that really big set, kind of towards the, the worst of the set, basically. To me, these are the worst Ingstroms. Actually, let me use my left hand and spread these out with my right. All right. Ingstrom has a different base level. So when an Ingstrom fails, they're not in the worst stack. You would never find an Ingstrom in tier 6. See how this is working? So, and you will find Simcoes in the worst of the set. You will definitely see Smokin' Joes in the worst of the set. You don't typically see David Grosses in the worst, and you don't see Ingstroms in the worst. Keep that in mind as we go through these stacks. All right, but these are the ones I think kind of failed for Ingstrom. This weird elephant that just, I don't know where to start. This is so derived from Drew Blood that I feel like they've done this character 5 times now. Why is Ingstrom having to reference an overused format so many times? It's frustrating. One thing I did notice is Ingstrom did make some bad background choices this series, and this is one of them. I hate this background color for this. Do we need more orange, in the background? This one is pretty ugly. I don't like the space of it at all, and it seems pointless. I wish they would just this is what they need to do. Obviously, Ingstrom needs another, horror set. He needs to do, Oh Horrible Series 3. Just give him that, so he can shine. Because he keeps trying to put these horror characters in every fucking set. We get it. That's what you're into. You're into horror movies and creepy shit, which is fine. But why are you forcing this into a Bookworm set? It's just, I don't know. And yeah, I know there's horror books and shit, but it's like, come on, we all know this is out of place. This one is just kind of lackluster. I mean, the whole book series, Captain Underpants, the joke is underwear. It's not like Ingstrom brought in underwear. Oh, here's a gag I'm bringing to the table. No, this was already the gag. And so this is just like, there's nothing special at all. And the fucking green background is a bad choice. Oh, I forgot one. I'm putting this as one of the worst Ingstroms of the set as well. It's just cringe, man. All right. Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and talk about every little detail. And these are kind of the worst David Gross ones, so let me lay them out. Again, when David Gross kind of, his worst ones are never in the super, super bottom. He has a higher base level than Simcoe and Smokin' Joe. I'm not into this one. I want to be into this one, but have you ever watched the movies and read the book? Gollum is a tiny character. He doesn't have long arms and legs. I feel like he added extra muscles here for some random reason. I hate the posture. It looks like he's taking a dump. It's so bad. I absolutely hate this, even though Potty Scotty's my favorite character of all time. I hate this shit so much. The ugliest background in the world. I get that it's the Dummies book background, but still, it's just a fail, man. See, sometimes with David Gross, he gets super geeky. Like, his art gets super nerdy and geeky. They tend to give him sort of the geeky themes. And he just kind of goes with it, like he keeps going geek with it, and we get things like this. I get that it's definitely a cool concept, right? Cool series or what. I was never into it, but this is not the greatest Garbage Pail Kid of all time. Come on. And how bland can you get? You know what I mean? There's nothing really popping. I've seen these movies, unfortunately, and if you told me to make a Percy Jackson Garbage Pail Kid, it would not look like this. It would have lightning, and it would be like dark based, and it'd have a mythological creature, and it wouldn't be this bullshit. The colors are bad. There's something going on with the contrast. He had Catcher in the Rye, one of the greatest books of all time. This is what he came up with. That's why this is here, because maybe sometimes that's kind of clouding my judgment, because if I was given Catcher of the Rye, it would not be this. It might be the train scene. It might be just so much, all kinds of scenes. Not some dude spray painting phonies on a barn. That makes no sense. This is just bad spacing. Okay, this isn't Garbage Pail Kids. I mean, to me, okay, let me just remind you here. They're just not, they're not holding up. So that's why they're here. I do appreciate that we're looking at actual shit here on a piece of toilet paper. I do like that. It's pretty cool, but it's so bland. And these are just hard for me to look at. This one is so bad. Okay. I mean, his leg is funky. I don't know why his back leg is so long. Just none of it makes sense. The spacing of even the ribbon is wrong in some places. All right, so that's tier 5. And I'm actually going to put these up because we don't need to review these again. All right, so that was actually the biggest stack of all. Okay. So here we're going to see these are a little bit better because they're tier 4. All right. And I always put my Ingstroms on top because his tier 4 tends to be a little stronger than some of the other artists. So I'll just show you that now. Let me set them out for you. Now by tier 4, we're talking about some that are pretty good, They'll have some quality about them that's pretty good. I thought Dewey Decimal has a great name. What is holding this one back is he should have put some neat letterings or, binding designs on the books or something. The colors are really rough in this one. This is cute, but it's super, derived from, it almost looks too close to what it's supposed to be. This is one where he fucked up the background on. This one is being held back a little bit by the background and the top character. Could have been so much better. I think that's supposed to be The Rock, actually. And if that's Dwayne Johnson, that's a bad parody of Dwayne Johnson. This one, I absolutely hate the witch. She should have been much scarier. And there's something wrong with her cheek. This one, Adam looks very stiff, like he can't move, like his joints are been fused. But I will say that's one of the best Boney Jonies I've ever seen. She looks so cute. I love that Boney Joni up there in the mushroom cloud. So these are good, obviously, but they're tier 4 because as you'll see, there's much better Ingstroms than this. This one, there's an issue with the coloring on Dorian Gray here. It looks like he's almost 2 figures smashed together. It doesn't look like this belongs to that. I don't know why that shadow is so dark. This one's kind of neat. It's just hard to get around that big dorky face, and it's not Cabbage Patch Kids enough. And there's something wrong with the ears. I don't know why the back ear is so big. It should be much smaller. Don't this ear looks out of place. Why is it on his forehead? Do you guys look at this stuff, or is it just me? What's holding this back is it's just a dorky dog. He should have had debris coming out from the bullet holes out the back, or maybe even some bullets. That could have been so much better. I like the colors in this one, but at the end of the day, it's just a dog on a little doghouse. It should have had more debris and bullets or something. Then it would have been really cool. So these are Tier 4 Angstroms. Now you might start be seeing some of your favorites, because these are good. I'm not saying they're bad, but I'm saying there's 3 levels above this, and we need to look at those. All right, let's look at the Tier 4 Simcoes. Simcoe did have a pretty nice series. A lot of his cards are finding their way in what I call Tier 4. These are strong, but they're not the best, okay? They all have, to me, some texture issues. I can't read the words on a lot of these books. That's kind of contradicting what I said earlier. I just don't think we should be printing words on Garbage Pail Kids. Let me get that straight. That should never be done. It should always be hand-painted words. Look how good that looks. That's hand-painted. That wasn't printed on like he did on some of the other ones. However, he's having contrast issues. There's colors that are just melding with other colors and in sort of a bad way. This one, while it's a super nice design, is still lacking what I think a Garbage Pail Kid should look like. Now, this is one of the best readaptations of an old Garbage Pail Kid character to me. I love how Apocore is being reused here. I rarely ever say that. I think the old characters should be left in the past, but if you have to use one, that's pretty cool, actually. Goodnight Moon. This one has a lot of interesting colors and details. Still doesn't feel like a Garbage Pail Kid. If this was a Garbage Pail Kid, the peach would be the Garbage Pail Kid. I know a lot of people like this one, but if you're honest with yourself, it's only because it's a never-ending story reference. It's not because of the actual artwork. The artwork looks actually kind of bad, but I put it in there because of the effort, and I do like the convict idea that Bunk did 35 years ago. Reimagined. This one, a little cringe, but it's a pretty nice design. The colors actually work pretty good in it. And then, yeah, I really don't want to discuss those. But anyway, so these are a little bit better. That's the whole point. This is the next step up for Simcoe. And we don't have to look at those again. This is the next step up. This is Tier 4 Gross. And you might be seeing one of your favorites. That's fine. But what I'm saying is these are not the best ones, right? So we have Nancy here. Don't know why she's so small. Don't know why we needed to see so much of the sides here. And there's something still off about the coloring. This, I hate the black outlining. I know it's a comic strip and that's the style. Still, it's too away from Garbage Pail Kids to me. And this one's a little flat. I can see it through the camera, and it actually looks better through the camera. But in person, you saw this with your own eyes in person. It's very gray. And the last are all the Smoke and Joe ones from Tier 4. Again, he's having issues with using way too much white, particularly titanium white, which is a cool white. And I know with the acrylics, that's one of the common colors, but you can change that. You can add more, different color reflected light and whatnot. But these are good, but they're not the best. Some of these are a little too good. This one, there's something about them that is a little too good, a little too, look, I can copy John Pound. And with these, the colors, the backgrounds, man, the fucking backgrounds, man, what's going on? Yeah, we had some really good characters this set, but so many backgrounds were messed up. Now these we will look at much closer. These are the top 3 tiers. Yes. Let's take a look here. I might can lay all these out. Let me try. Let me see if I can do that. I have them by artist. Or I had them by artist. Okay. I always have Engstrom on top. Okay, we're at tier 3 Engstrom. Tier 3 gross. Sorry about the glare. I will fix it momentarily. Okay, here we go. Tier 3 Engstrom. If you got a tier 3 Engstrom, it's going to be a solid. That's what this is. These are solid fucking cards. But they're not classics. Great card, but I'm having trouble caring about the theme. A pretty cool image of rats running up to the Pied Piper. By the way, this is how it came out of the pack, by the way. Okay, so these are tier 3 gross. I know everyone loves this card, but if you're honest, there's something weird about how she's standing. She's leaning back in a weird way. And yeah, it's could have been better. I thought this one was really pretty, but I would put it at tier 3. Same with James Bond here. Simcoe made it in tier 3 with this one. And I thought Smokin' Joe made it into tier 3 with the Zorro. And is that what's his name? Oscar? I don't know. All right. I might keep these out. All right, tier 2. We're almost to the end. We're at the best ones. Tier 2. Let me set you down just a moment so I can lay these out for you. Engstrom, Simcoe. Wow, he made a bunch of them in there. Okay. Okay, tier 2 Engstroms, I would definitely put this one. I'll be honest, I actually had this in tier 1, but I moved it down after looking at all the cards laid out. There seems to be another background issue. I'm not loving those stripes. I think it's too busy. And guys, again, if you'll just lay out all the cards, you'll see, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. This one I actually really like. It made it onto the actual mega box. I actually think this guy should have been the pack kid. I don't think they should have used the Research and Xavier guy. I think they should have used this as the Bookworm's mascot. It's a much better artwork. Absolutely love this character. It has its problems, but this is so cool. It's just super cute. I like this a little too much. The colors are fantastic. It's very Garbage Pail Kids, and the textures are meshing well. It's a pretty cool, neat card. Okay, Simcoe has 4 right here at the top. His Willy Wonka one is fantastic. I've had some people tell me this is their favorite one out of the whole set. I'm actually putting his Bernstein Bears up there as well. They're eating a hunter and enjoying his flesh. That's a neat little card. And I actually have his Tom Sawyer up here as well. It's doing everything it's supposed to be doing as far as story. We see a kid who's licking lead paint, because lead paint's sweet, or they claim it's sweet. That's why kids would die of lead poisoning. And he's licking the lead paint. It's going to kill him. And I like this card too. Not a big Curious George fan, but that's a neat little card. Smokin' Joe has one up here at this level. It's his Dune Boone. And then I have one gross at tier 2 with his Spam Sam here. I'll be honest, when I first saw this card, went like a year ago. It seems like a long time ago. My first reaction was, it's a little too much of a copy of a Seuss. Like, it's a little too close to the reference. But it's really grown on me, and I really like it. So you see where it's at now. All right, let me move these over. And here we're to the top cards of Bookworms, in my opinion. Oh, one more thing. So one card I don't have is the Coraline, the girl with the stitches. She would go to tier 2. She's not one of the best ones. She's one of the, just a little bit off the top. Here we go. The top cards of Bookworms, in my opinion. Barbarian Brandon. Angry Ahab. Fabulous Fabio, and Winnie the Pooper. All right, so that's what I have as the top ones. Notice Engstrom has 2. Gross, and then Smokin' Joe has 1. So looking at these, I think these are the best ones. Are they all-time classics? I actually don't think so. And I think I can quickly eliminate 2 as all-time classics. Which 2 will be leaving this one? The reason is I love this card. It's perfect. And I actually want the art of it so bad because Moby Dick's one of my favorite books of all time. However, it doesn't scream Garbage Pail Kids to me. It just, to me, kind of looks more like a cartoon of Moby Dick. Like an illustrated book of Moby Dick. It doesn't scream, oh, I'm a Cabbage Patch Kid. But I do love it. I'm not going to lie. I love it. But anyway, he's kicked off the island. The next card that I don't think is a bona fide classic, even though I love it, is Winnie the Pooper. Here's the reason Winnie Pooper is not the best card of Bookworms. Guys, think back to your childhood. Everybody had that same joke. We all said Winnie the Pooh. Every boy that's ever been alive that has heard Winnie the Pooh has said Winnie the Pooh. That's an old gag. That's an old joke. Now, I love the design. Absolutely love the design. I think it's one of the best ones of the set. But it's not a card I'm going to be collecting or trying to hoard. For one thing, it's Winnie the Pooh. I don't like Winnie the Pooh. I think that's for like 3-year-olds. And to me, if you look at the characters, they look almost identical to a regular Winnie the Pooh character. There's nothing Cabbage Patch Kitty about it. There's nothing, like, he didn't adapt it enough to Garbage Pail Kids. And even when you get in the bear, he looks a little clean. It's being held back mainly because of the Cabbage Patch Kid likeness. It's not quite as much as I would like. I think John Pound could have taken this same design, gave John Pound 2 hours to fix it, and it would look way much better. Another thing holding it back is the balloons are not quite dark enough, and there's a bad texture on them. But I do love this card, but it's not an all-time classic. And I'll be honest, the main reason is because it's Winnie the Pooh. I don't think Winnie the Pooh could ever be a bona fide all-time classic in this category. Which leads us to these two. Now, you might be sitting here thinking, first of all, Russ, you have the wrong ones. I don't really care which one you pick because you already passed over the ones I like. Now, there's some really good ones. I'm telling you, Bookworms is one of the best sets we've had in a long time. I tell you what, let's put these up, and I'm going to pull out the worst ones one more time. Let's go ahead and look at the worst card. We're going to pick out the worst card of Bookworms. Man, looking back at these, I hope you see what I'm saying. This is absolute cringe. I don't know why it belongs in a Garbage Pail Kids set. If this wasn't a direct reference to Frigid Bridget, it wouldn't even be here. It's just a cartoon dog. Yeah, sorry about the glare. And we are almost done. We're just going to pick the best and the worst. So, all right, so to me, in my opinion, these are the worst. This one can be forgiven, barely. I mean, there is some different colors in there, some different textures. His head's being ripped off, so I don't think it's the worst one. This one, it's got kind of a cool factor with the eyeballs, but they should have done more with the background. That could have been a blend. It could have had some dark corners and shading. It didn't have to be just a flat red wall. Plus, I don't think that's the best red for this card. So, but I don't think it's the worst either. So he's not the worst. Can we forgive Simcoe for printing words on the book? He didn't paint that. He printed them. What a cop-out. That's so embarrassing. John Pound would have never done that. But it's not the worst. Next up is this horrible looking thing. So ugly. Is it okay for Garbage Pail Kids to be ugly? In some senses, yes. But John Pound says in many interviews that a Garbage Pail Kid is supposed to make you feel good. And so even though the characters might be doing something ugly or in real life are supposed to be ugly like Creepy Carol, the artwork should never be ugly. So when you look at this piece of shit, I shouldn't say that. But seriously, come on, man. I actually have this in the running for the worst card. So let me put this to the side. Let's look at this. Oh yeah, my critique, remember, is that he printed words here, but here he hand painted the words with shading on top of the words. Why isn't there shading there? Why is it printed? What a fucking mess. What a lazy mess that is. Absolutely hate it. I'm going to put it right here. This one is actually a decent piece of art. It's just not, it's not Garbage Pail Kids or even Cabbage Patch Kids. But it's okay. I'll put it over there. This guy could be the worst one. Someone help me out. Like, what the fuck is this? This is so bad, man. Alright, so, okay, I'm just going to pick one. I think he's okay for now. Worst card of Bookworms. Well, I'll just say it. When I first went through the mega box, my first gut reaction was that. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is so bad. So, okay, I'm just going to just call it, guys. But these are crap, too. So, I'm calling this the worst card of Bookworms. Jesus. Which brings us to the other extreme. First, you have Conan the Barbarian. Or Fabio. Let's quickly break these down. We have Conan here, reaching his arm out. Beautiful shading with color, or under shading with reflected light as well. With his sword, details in the background, flames, everything you really want. On this side, you have Fabio, who's representing, romance books, paperback books. He's got his shirt off. This is the first appearance of nipples in any Garbage Pail Kids set or character. He's holding a sword. He's wearing purple pimp pants, or just, player pants. His hair is purple with beautiful yellow shimmering that reflects back, or just mimics the moss from the Spanish moss and the tree silhouette. Behind him is a very romantic and deep, passionate red with orange and gray and shit. Which is the best one? Guys, Conan looks like a girl. His arm looks kind of weird, a little gay, honestly, if you ask me, the outstretched arm. I don't know why his arm looks like that and why it honestly looks like a girl. Is this a girl? I thought it was supposed to be Conan. I have to look this up. But if this is Conan the Barbarian, it looks just like a girl. Even though I love this card, it's not my favorite at all. I think it's great. I definitely will be hoarding this card, but it holds it back just a tad. And in my opinion, the greatest card of the set is Fabulous Fabio. And the worst card is, I'm not even going to say his name. You'll have a good rest of your day. Russ Fan out. Wow. Crazy. Yeah, I'd actually put Fabio. He'd hold up very well with these other cards, yeah. I think he would. How would John Pound paint Fabio?